Hello, my name is Grian, and today I'm back with another building video. This time I'm going to be doing a windmill. I know I haven't been doing a lot of tutorials recently, and that's because I've been very short on time and these take an awful lot of time to make. So let's get straight into it. The first thing you want to do is create a circle on the ground. Now it's very important that you get the size of the circle correct, so you can see me editing it there and making sure that I've got it correct. You want quite a large base, and that will make sense later. Something like I have there, or even slightly bigger, would be ideal. Once you've got that, just work it up with whatever block you want your base to be, and I'm going to be using just cobblestone because it just makes a nice, easy stone base. And then around that, I'm going to be working a second layer that sort of makes it integrate into the ground a little bit more and less plonked on the top of the grass. And then integrating into those layers several different types of blocks. So the cracked mossy brick, the staircase, and the half slab of the kind. And then integrating it into the cobblestone behind it, along with some staircases to make it look like it has weathered a bit. Around the top, I then layer half slab of spruce wood so that we get a layer of balcony going. And this is just to have an overhang over the base layer to sort of help accentuate the shape of the windmill later. I think they look really good and they're quite easy to make just by adding that circle round, and then you can support it by making these little juts out using wood log and some little supports underneath them just using some staircase. Make sure you do it all the way around using all four sides, and then you can add some trapdoors on the end just to finish it off. Now it's time to work on the main body of the windmill. I'm going to transition this from a circular base into a square top and body. So first of all, we need to make sure we have the correct height. One of the main things people do wrong with a windmill is making it too short and too snubby. So do not fear in making it nice and tall. It's quite easy to change if you do mess up. Around the top, you want to add a transition area around the circle, just made out of staircase or whatever you feel like, and do not fear in giving it some shape. As you can see in the center parts, I've actually created a nice little arch that goes over the top. And this is just a nice way of keeping it from going into just a square tower. That's the last thing that we want to happen. And of course, don't forget to fill in the walls with a block of your choice. I went for some stained clay and then finished off that balcony by just adding a nice fence around it. So now we're going to work on the larger main body, and this is where it's going to transition into a square base. So the main structure is in fact just a simple square with a little bit of an outline using log. However, around the side you can see I've added these little ones around each side. Now this is to decorate and increase the shape of the windmill, if I can phrase it that way, and of course you can fill in the sides pretty easily just with whatever block you've chosen to have your windmill be. So now we're going to work on the face of the windmill. I have gone for, of course, a square one, so it does look slightly like a clock tower. I opted not to have it circular because I thought this would be easier to deal with. So you start off just by making a triangular roof, and it's kind of the same story as with any house, just use some staircase of some kind. I of course have gone for spruce to be in line with the rest of my build. And now I'm going to work on the front face with the nose where the blades are going to go. So as you can see, I've sort of created a nice piece of log which is going to jut out, and I'm going to add the blades on there later. And you can see that the face that I've made for it on the front isn't completely flat because I want to give it some kind of shape. Remember that it is a transitioned circle into a square, but at the top I do want it to have some shape. If it's too flat, it's going to look a little bit odd. Having that shape really complements the build. As I'm doing on the side here with the roof, I'm just creating a small arch, and it just helps accentuate the shape of the build. After that, you want to continue filling in the faces of the windmill. I used a different color clay here because I wanted to have some contrast. Of course, you could take any color you want, or even a different kind of block depending on what kind of windmill you wanted. Alternatively, alternatively, you could also make a completely circular one. You don't have to copy me here. This is just sort of an idea and a sense of scale. You can see how tall I've made my windmill, just by how high you can see that I've made the roof, which I have now completed. Remember down here how I said this was going to be just an aesthetic thing? This is just here to decorate, and using some staircase blocks, it just accentuates the shape of the build a little bit more, and that's the whole point of this windmill. Apart from the blades, you have to make the shape correct, and detailing it, you would want to put some more windows and doors with little balconies on it, just to make sure that it gets the point across. At the back here, I have another little balcony, but with that weight that I talked about earlier, and put some like chests on it and stuff like that, just to make it look like it is in use. I'm obviously avoiding the blades because I'm leaving that till last. Decorating it is fairly easy, just some fence windows along with some grass blocks as flower pots, because that really helps contrast to the build a little bit, the green and the colours of the flowers. At the bottom, detailing is fairly easy, just add a few doors and more windows, and it is very minimalist, it's very simple. At the top, it's time to do the blades and start finishing off this build. The blades is the bit that everyone gets wrong, in my opinion, when they're building a windmill. And this is the sort of size people go for. This is too short, you need to extend it. And although I have gone for some log there, I use half slab just to increase the shape of the blades so that it isn't just connected by a tiny little pixel. It looks a lot more sturdy this way, and you need to extend that shape really far for it to work. I even maybe went a little bit too short. The blades need to be huge. People make these tiny little stumpy ones that aren't really natural looking. If you look at pictures of windmills, just from like Dutch ones or English ones, you can see just how big they are. Anyway, just talking about that, I use wool as a net for the blades themselves for the wind to catch. Obviously this looks a little different from real life, but this is generally how Minecraft windmills are made, or at least how I do them. So you want to have a initial layer diagonally, which is then followed up by one behind it. This is all made of wool, and then you can sort of rough it up by adding a few blocks here and there and integrating some light grey wool into it to give it a little bit of natural texture. Once you've done that, it's kind of finished. You can add some vines to make it look a little bit more rustic, and then just add some trees around and add loads of flowers. What, did you think I was going to farm it for you as well? If you want to add wheat around it, that's your doing. You can farm it all you like. I'm just going to put flowers around it to give it a nice colourful contrast. And that's kind of it, it's finished. I'm just going to circle round in a final attempt to show you everything, just so if you were undergoing a project, you can take a look and see if you would like to do it yourself. So as you can see, the overall shape is what's most important. The colour choice is also important, and making sure that it is nice and tall, the blades are huge, and that you make the overall detailing quite nice. I have made mine very simple. I haven't over-detailed because that's not really my style. However, if you wanted to detail it a little more, just go straight in there. There's lots of different ways to detail this build. In fact, I would even recommend having a house attached to the side, because that would almost complete the build in my opinion. I was mainly focusing on the tower and the windmill for this, however, adding a house on the side there would complete it in my eyes. And that's kind of it, except for the farm around it and, you know, adding those extra details. That is the basic concept, and it's fairly easy to make. You basically build it from the ground up, quite literally. As long as you get all the scale bits right, you should have a very nice looking windmill. So that's it from me. I know this has been a long time coming. I haven't really been doing too much building. I have been doing more build related games, if that makes sense. Less tutorials, more games. That's because I've been very short of time recently. I've had lots going on, and I went to an event and I had lots of fun and met fans for the very first time. It was so adorable, honestly. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I am always looking out for more ideas. I have a big list of ideas, but every time I look at it, I'm like, I don't want to make that. So I am always looking in the comments for your guys' ideas, just so that I have more and more content that relates to you guys, because at the end of the day, I want to give you what you want. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye!